B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach, Shiur Torah, Bruchim Habayim. We are back in Sanyal's at Sharei Tzion. We'll do a interesting shiur b'ezrat Hashem tonight. Since we haven't started a new series, each week we've been doing something else. The shiur that I've been preparing for some time about the neshech, the interest, and how to deal with goyim is not prepared yet. Almost there. But today we'll talk about a topic that affects every single person, Jew or Gentile, which is the topic of anger. Today's shiur will be for a refuah shlema for Avi Mori, David Ben Esriya, Doris Bajora, Anne Jarvis, Levana Bat Sarah, Sarah Bat Levana, Rav Ephraim Ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah Bat Anat, Tzipora Bat Esther Bat Tzipora, Dvora Bat Mercedes, and all of Am Yisrael B'ezrat Hashem will have refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf. Ashrechem that you're coming to a shiur Torah in a night that the goyim are celebrating their Greek holiday called the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, there are many Jews also celebrating this holiday. And I remember that my past life, we used to make it a day also to watch a bunch of guys chase after a ball as if it meant something. But this Greek mentality is not new. It's, like I said, it's been around for a couple of thousand years. But if you tell people you shouldn't go to a Super Bowl party, if you tell people that you shouldn't go to any type of Christmas event or any type of other non-Jewish event, people look at you funny. Say, what do you mean? Why not? It's the finals. It's the quarterfinals. It's the eighth final. It's the some final. There's always a final. Next year it's going to be again, but now it's the final. I'm not going for the game. I'm only going for the food, just to hang out with some friends. And then you have many rabbanim that are trying to make the best case of this Greek event, which is having shiurei Torah in the middle of halftime. Now, I applaud the rabbanim that are trying to make the best of it, but the truth is that a pig is still a pig. You know, a Greek event with a rabbi singing in the middle is still a Greek event. You know, so they're not going to watch some prostitute that makes $20 million a show dance in the halftime, and instead they're going to watch the rabbi. But they're still not going to change their Greek mentality, because they still gather there in order to watch a bunch of guys that take a whole lot of steroids and different types of hormones in order to increase their muscle capacity, which are at the physical status that's unknown to any other man, chase after a ball, you know, for a few seconds at a time, and try to kill each other in the middle. Now, someone asked me one time, there was a mixed martial artist, I think it was UFC, that had an event where there was a Jewish guy. A Jewish guy fought another guy, I'm assuming a non-Jewish guy, and the Jewish guy won. And after he won, he wanted to celebrate by putting on a tzitzit and running in the middle of the ring and then going on all four of his knees and going like this to Hashem, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And they asked me, is this Kiddush Hashem? Is this Kiddush Hashem? Jewish guy won the fight, and celebrating winning the fight, he put on a tzitzit, said Shema Yisrael. Now I want to know your perspective. Do you think that's Kiddush Hashem or not? I mean, Jewish guy putting on tzitzit. I don't know. Some of you guys, all you guys have tzitzit on. Do you have a tzitzit on? Everybody have tzitzit on? Some people that come to the shiur don't have tzitzit on. Some people that watch the show still don't have a tzitzit. So a Jew putting on a tzitzit is a big deal. Shema Yisrael is a big deal. It's mitzvah deoraita. It's mitzvah from the Torah. Kadosh Baruch Hu told us you have to say Shema Yisrael. You have to say it in the morning. You have to say it at night. You have to say it when you go. You have to say it when you stand. When you get up, and so on. Shema Yisrael is a big deal. It's mitzvah from the Torah. Doing it on time in the morning is also a big deal. You miss out doing it in the morning, you missed out a mitzvah from the Torah. So the question is a combination of Shema Yisrael and a mitzvah of tzitzit, also mitzvah deoraita, and on top of it, you won. The Jew won. Is that the definition? You're celebrating that you're Jewish now in front of all these people. Millions of people are watching. They're paying $50, $60 to watch you. So you are telling them, I'm a Jew and I won. I beat up the non-Jew. Can there be a bigger Kiddush Hashem than that? No, so tell me if it's a Kiddush Hashem or not.
No, it's not.
It's not a Kiddush Hashem. Why is it not a Kiddush Hashem?
Because you just beat somebody up and now you're putting on a talit.
But you put a tzitzit.
Or it's a tzitzit. Yeah, but that doesn't look right.
Why not? They fight, the Goyim fight, why can't we fight? The Goyim don't look at it as wrong. If you ask a Goy, listen, one Goy hit another Goy and the other guy knocked him out. The guy that won got $20 million, the guy that lost got $5 million. Do you feel bad for either one of them? No. Okay, so one guy, the guy that happened to win was a Jew. Do you feel bad for any one of them? Still no. Why? Well, it's a fight. There's rules. Why? What's wrong with it?
But a Jew shouldn't even be in that business.
Why?
You're getting paid.
Why is it Chilul Hashem? Why?
You're getting paid to either hurt somebody or
hold on. One mouth at a time. One mouth at a time. Hold on. One mouth at a time.
You're getting paid to either hurt somebody or hurt yourself, which is you're not supposed to put yourself in that situation.
Okay. Mike, behind you, no?
Yes, sir. Even to raise your hand against another person.
Ashrecha ve'ashrech elkecha. Ashrecha, thank you very much. Give me mitzvot. Ashrecha ve'ashrech elkecha. Hey, Mike is giving me. What is Mike giving? Why are I stopping the rest of you from answering? Why is Mike just ruin the rest of your answers? Because Mike gave me a source from the Torah. We learned last week from the Chafetz Chaim that you have to live the Torah. What does it mean live the Torah? Every single answer that you have must come from the Torah, not from your logic. All of you are right that you're not supposed to do it, but you didn't give me a reason. Mike gave me a reason. Mike gave me a reason from Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu sees two Jews fighting, and one Jew has his hand in the air. The Tan has the hand in the air. And he says, why are you doing that, Rasha? Why are you about to hit your brother? And from there we learn, Chazal says, that even without hitting another person, just by raising your hand at another person, you already declared a Rasha. Now, going back to our UFC hero is not a hero at all. Why is he not a hero? Because you are being Rasha in front of millions of people. And you're doing it in the name of a Torah nonetheless. Chas v'shalom. You're putting a tzitzit on, you're putting a kippah on, you're saying Shema Yisrael. What are you telling the rest of the nations that we're just like them? HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us we're not. So that goes also for all of the people that are watching the Super Bowl fight and watching the game. The reality is, Rabotai, the more we try to be like the Goyim, the more HaKadosh Baruch Hu will have to wake us up and remind us that we're not. Right now, there is, as I've told you, many things happening around the world where at any moment, any one of these things can shake the world in a way that's never happened before. One, you have a virus that no one understands, no one knows a solution to, that came from the Goyim violating the 7 Noahide laws of eating living animals. You're not allowed to eat an animal while it's still alive. Although the Goyim are allowed to eat whatever they want, they're allowed to eat bats and cats and dogs and whatever they want. The problem is not that they ate bats and cats. People think it's because they ate bats and cats. That's not the reason. The reason is because the Goyim were vicious and they ate animals even while they were alive. And you see many videos out there that these Goyim have literally no feelings, no senses. They take live animals and eat them while they're alive, and they make videos of it. They make video of it. You see one video of Western society of a civilized guy sees a rat, runs away from it. But you go to the Eastern society, you go to China, and you see that same different guy, what does he do? He takes the same rat, he just eats it while it's alive. And all the other types of living animals, and this is forbidden. Why? Because you're not allowed to be vicious, even to animals. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not like it, and he brought a virus. But if you think the virus is only because of the goyim, you are mistaken. The virus was triggered by an action from the goyim, but that action has been happening for a long time. What do you think? They just started eating live rats and mice and dogs and cats yesterday? They've been doing it for years. Why is it all of a sudden that Hashem creates this virus? What, the virus wasn't there a month ago, 2 months ago, 6 months ago? The virus has always been there. The bats always had it. The cats always had it. All these animals always had it. So how come it just came now? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to explain to Am Yisrael, anything that happens around the world, it's a rebuke to you. It's a message to you that you are different from them. The problem is, you don't think you're different from them. Why? Because you go visit China, you go visit Bangladesh, you go visit different places around the world, in Australia and in Singapore and other places, and you try out their foods, and you try out their foods in America also. You try out all types of things just to see how it tastes, and you do not think of yourself as different from the goyim. So let's see if you remind. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu does things measure for measure, and Hashem Yerachem, right now you have a virus with no solution, and it's starting to kill people, but it's also starting to spread all over the world. There's a case in America, there's a case in India, there's a case all over China, there's cases everywhere. And again, like I said, there's no solution to it. Other than Siyat Dishmaya, Kadosh Baruch Hu, is nothing. The worst part about the virus is the fact that you cannot tell that it's the virus. Why? It's a common cold. You start sneezing, you may have coronavirus. Who knows? Or you just have sneezing, like you've had for 50 years. You have a temperature, you have a high fever, you may have coronavirus. No solution. Got to put you in an incubator. Got to put you in a little bubble. Or you just have a headache. We don't know. So you have that. Then you have a potential civil war in almost every single country. In America, nonetheless, if you think that the upcoming elections are going to go smoothly, you're mistaken. There's a small chance of a small revolution happening around it because of how much the two sides hate each other and how much money is involved, how much power is involved in controlling this country, or at least looking like the puppet that controls this country. In Africa, they're on a borderline of a civil war. The government is simply stealing land from people. That's never a good idea. In the Netherlands, a place where you never hear of, they just pass certain laws where you're simply allowed to kill people. You're just allowed to kill people. And whether it's to kill people because you feel like they're too old, or if just a woman, she's 8 months pregnant, she wants to kill the kid, no problem, 8 months. It's not really a baby, it's still inside. Let me put a mask on you and see, maybe you're not a human because the mask is on you. So you have different types of things. India has had hyperinflation, not very different than what happened in Venezuela over the last several years. Venezuela, over about 15 years ago or so, is one of the leading economies in the world. Right now, Venezuela, you could buy the whole country with $20. You have people picking in garbages to survive. Baruch Hashem, I know a few people that live there. I have no idea how they live there, but Baruch Hashem, they say they're doing okay. Jewish people. Only because of the Torah, not because of any other reason. Not because of good investments, not because of intellect, not because of looks, not because of anything. They're inside a place where nobody actually has any control of anything. There's a revolution there, literally people eating from garbage, because that's all they have. India, a much, much bigger country, is going through the same thing. From 1 week to the other, the price of basic goods increased 25-30%. Now you might not think that that's a big deal in your comfortable America because it hasn't happened here, at least not recently. But just imagine, you go to work, and every single day the tolls to work increase 25%. Within a few months, you can't afford to go to work. Just imagine your cost of gasoline increased 25%. Within a few months, you can't go to work. If the gas prices in America were the same as the gas prices in Israel, right now, you wouldn't be able to afford to go to work. Why? Because in Israel, there's no discount like there is in America. You get it for $3 a gallon. In Israel, you're paying $11, $12 a gallon. With a salary of maybe $2,000, $3,000 a month, max. So try to go drive an hour and a half each way, like you do in America. We're used to driving an hour each way to go to work in America. In Israel, if it's not 15 minutes from your house, you're not going. Well, I guess it's too expensive. Especially with America, the average car here is like a tank. Over there, you have little tustussim, you have little tiny cars. Why? Because the gas is so expensive. So you have a situation now in a country that's one of the biggest countries in the world, India, with hyperinflation. The enormous price increases is not bad enough. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is double punishing them. He's also making a small revolution that's going to become bigger, where over 50,000 Muslims protested recently, and the numbers are only going to get bigger because of the laws that the country is passing in order to limit the immigration, limit the rights of the Muslims in that country. Anytime you try to limit the Muslims, there's war. Why? Because that's all they're good at. They're good at war. Now obviously the Arab countries are always under a revolution of some kind or another, so I don't necessarily need to speak about them, but of course every one of them is waiting for some permission or some development to allow them to launch an atomic bomb at Israel. Every one of them hates us with no exception. America obviously is at a war with China. That's a quiet war. It's a digital war. It's a currency war. It's a trade war. It's all types of wars that come before the guns. And this war can at any given day be just one of them decides I've had it with you. One of them decides I've had it with you. Some hothead could lose his steam. Donald Trump is a perfect candidate, and the guy from China is also not too bad himself. They're both two perfect candidates to pull the trigger. Just because they've had it, not because it makes sense. And Russia can't wait for somebody to mess with them. They can't wait for someone to mess with them so they can bomb them out of this earth. So you have, Rabotai, a lot of interesting things happening. All the while, the financial markets are at all-time highs as if everything's okay. That's the best part about it. If you look at the financial markets are supposed to be an indication of what's going on in the world. If you look at the financial markets, you would think the Mashiach arrived. The markets are up, and the only reason I know is because no one's complaining that it's down. Usually when it's down, everybody cries to me. No one's been crying for months, so that means that the market's going up. I haven't watched it, but it has to be going up. No one's even asking for stock advice anymore for a couple of months. I feel bad about it. Who do I say no to anymore? I'm used to saying no. No one's asked for any stock advice in at least 2 weeks. So I'm assuming the market's going up. We're indicating that the economy is doing well. The agricultural situation is well. Everything is well. Everything's good. Reality is, Europe is on a verge of collapsing. This new system that they're trying to put in place is not necessarily as bad as the one before, but not necessarily good either. And of course, some are voting for it, some are voting against it. It doesn't really make a difference. All HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing is he's shaking up everyone. Nothing is safe. You think that your job is safe, you're mistaken. I've seen guys that make $2 million a year get fired and get walked out of the office with a little box with their paper and pen in it. That's all they had left. The $2 million they used to make, they invested into the company's stock. By the time they got fired, it was worth 40 cents. You think that your company is safe? Once the economy collapses, all those loans that are getting your company to float, because every business needs some money. Every business needs some money. The bigger the business, the bigger the loans. And guess what? Once the economy collapses, all those loans are called. That bank that promised you the money for 10, 15 years, yeah, Mr. Smith, yeah, you remember that 15 years we promised you? Yeah, we can't deliver on that promise. You got to come up with the money in the next 48 hours. So you have a situation, mortgages, all of these things that people take for granted. Rabotai Karim, when a collapse happens, all bets are off. Now some people are going to say Bitcoin, all types of cryptocurrency, things that they feel, oh, this is safe. Yeah, it's safe as long as you have electricity. In a collapse, the government can even take control of the electricity usage you have. Destroy markets, ruin markets. It can do a lot of different things, Rabotai Karim, meaning that nothing right now is safe. The only thing that's safe is if you do some mitzvah that may help you when HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides to rid this world, to get rid of this world, get rid of the comfort that we're used to. Now, why do I tell you all of this? Because when a push comes to shove, the only thing that we're going to have left when all bets are off is whatever mitzvot we made. You put on tefillin, that's going to be count for something. You helped somebody do tshuva, that's going to count for something. You donated some money to a kosher organization, that's going to count for something. You said Kriyat Shema, that's going to count for something. All of these things are going to count for something, but also all the sins are going to count for something. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to ask you, where were you on Sunday? Super Bowl day. And if you say I was in a Super Bowl instead of at a Shiur Torah, it's not going to look so good. I promise you. Why? Because that's Greek mentality. That's the Greek mentality that's been a epidemic destroying our people for over 2,000 years. And the problem is, Rabotai, is that Greek mentality doesn't start big, meaning the Super Bowl doesn't start attacking the Jewish community as what it is today. It starts as something small where one guy watches it and he tells some of the people in the Keilah, hey guys, did you watch the game yesterday? It was amazing. So next time there's a game, he invites me, because you guys remember that game that I told you about? It's happening again. Same team, same time, same everything. And little by little, more people watch, more people are fans, more people go to it, and before you know it, you have Super Bowl parties in synagogues all over the country. And to make the taref kasher, the rabbis give a lecture in the middle. Now, let's compare that to just a couple of generations ago. Rav Mibrisk, Rav Soloveitchik Alav Shalom, had one of the most important yeshivas in the world. The Russians that hated, the Russian communists that hated Judaism, that hated Torah, that hated religion altogether, came to the Rav and he said, listen, we know you're not going to become a communist and join us, but it's still our country. So, from now on, you have to teach your students 1 hour of Russian. 1 hour of Russian per day. 1 hour. Rest of the day, learn Torah, learn mitzvot, bang your head against the wall, doesn't matter to us Russians. 1 hour. Or we're going to shut down the yeshiva. Now, we're going to go back to the questions, to you guys. 1 hour, there's 24 hours in a day. There's 24 hours in a day. How many of you are going to side? The rabbis had a meeting. All of the rabbis had a meeting. They come to the Rav Soloveitchik and said, for the Rav, is 24 hours in a day. Even though we don't want to teach the kids Russian, even though we can't stand Russian, we love the Torah. Mitzvah to keep the Torah alive. So if we have to learn some Russian for an hour in order to keep the Torah alive in Russia, bracha, it should be a mitzvah from the Torah to do this. How many of you agree with all of those rabbis that said, teach Russian? It's not a trick question, it's a tough question.
I think your opinion is no, it's not right.
It's not right. Why is it not right? No?
I don't know, because it'll start off with 1 hour of Russian, and then it'll be something else, or then.
You're in the right direction. No, next.
There's something with Torah, you have to respect law of another country. Like if you live in the country, respect
The laws of the country. You're right.
respect the rule of law.
No, you have a source from the Torah for what you're saying.
Authority or something.
Chazak. Chazak. It's Pirkei Avot. Chazak. Next. No, give me another answer. You have a yes with no source. You have a no with, you actually have a yes with a source and a no with no source. Okay, so I'll save you some time since the rest of you guys are mute. And that's okay, I'll be mute also if I was you. Well, it's a tough question. You have thousands of Bachurim learning Torah, but now you want to teach them Russian. What's the big deal teaching Russian? Rabbi Brisk says to his rabbis that work in his yeshiva, he says at the time of the Bet HaMikdash, the Bet HaMikdash was a place where HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shekhinah, came there every day. The miracles they saw at the Bet HaMikdash 24 hours a day were unlike any other miracle we've seen. You had a fire come from heaven every single day in the image of a lion to eat the korban. The extraordinary things that happen at the Bet HaMikdash, the miracles that happen there every single day, are underappreciated. For example, there were hundreds and hundreds of sacrifices made every single day. Now if you go to a butcher to go buy some meat, the first thing you see when you walk into the butcher, aside from the meat, is what? Flies. That's what you see at a butcher. Why? There's a bunch of carcasses everywhere. There's a bunch of meat everywhere, so you're going to see flies. That's why it's the fly wants to eat also. He doesn't have to cook it. He's easy. It's kasher for him without cooking. See flies. In the Bet HaMikdash, Rabotai, there was never one fly. Ever. Not one fly. Not one mosquito. Nothing. The amount of miracles that happened at the Bet HaMikdash, Rabotai, were unbelievable. But when the Goyim broke the barrier and started infesting the Bet HaMikdash, the Kohanim ran to the roof of the Bet HaMikdash, looked at Shamayim and said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, until now you gave us the responsibility to keep your house sacred, to keep your house holy. It is no longer within our power to keep your house holy. It's now up to you. They took the keys of the Bet HaMikdash and threw them in the air. And the Gemara says a hand came out from Shamayim and grabbed the keys. So Rabbi Brisk says to his Talmidim, he says, until now we were able to keep HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah sacred, holy, untainted, undamaged by the Greeks, undamaged by the Russians. We were able to do it the way He wants us to do it. Now that they want us to taint it, they want us to put some of their Greek in there, some of their UFC in there, some of their NFL in there, some of their baseball in there, some of their znut in there, some of their garbage in there. We can no longer serve Hashem the way He wants us. And if we cannot serve Hashem and teach His Torah the way He wants it, it's not up to us. He's the one that made the promise to keep the Torah alive. We made the promise to do it the way He wants. This is not the way He wants. You close the yeshiva. Why? You don't teach Russian in the yeshiva. You don't teach secular studies in the yeshiva. Now let me ask you a question. Do you think he was happy about this? He died from pain. He died from pain. He died. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu was happy. What's the proof? His Talmidim opened over 1,000 yeshivot all over the world as a result of this. Over 1,000 yeshivot were open as a result of this. You close one yeshiva, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you closed it for the right reason. You got upset for the right reason. You got angry for the right reason. You get bracha. How much? 1,000-fold. All of the yeshivot in the world at some point had something to do with this act. Why? You did it for Hashem. You did it for Hashem. How many people are doing it for Hashem? So now, Rabotai, we see that sometimes a Jew is tasked with a very difficult test, a test that you cannot get an answer from a human brain. You cannot get an answer from a human brain. You have to use the Torah. Because logically, all of us would be on the right side. We would say, listen, keep the place open. What's an hour of teaching Spanish? What's an hour of teaching Russian? What's an hour of teaching Jamaican? What's an hour of teaching whatever you want to teach? An hour. You have 24 hours in a day. Teach an hour of babkis. Who cares? Torah says no. Torah says no. Why? Kadosh Baruch Hu has a way of how to teach Torah. This also answers all of those people that support the people that teach falsehood, or the people that make a mockery of the Torah by joking around too much. Torah says no. Torah says no. You want to make a joke, you have to make it at the beginning of the shiur. That's what Gemara says. You want to make it at the beginning of the shiur. Why? It opens up. If you make it at the beginning of the shiur, that means that you're going to open up their brains. But to make the whole shiur into a joke, to make the mitzvot look like a joke, to make Gan Eden Gehinom look like a joke, the whole thing's a joke, you're ruining the Torah. There's no permission to do that. So now comes a new Baal Tshuva. Now comes a new convert. Now comes somebody new, comes to the Kehillah, tells the rabbi, hey rabbi, you know you have a bunch of people that are driving on Shabbat in this Kehillah. Why you give him aliyah? Hey rabbi, you know that the guy you just gave an aliyah, his girlfriend is Mustafa's sister. She's not Jewish. You know that, right? Hey Rabbi, you're the Kohen. The Kohen that just did Birkat Kohanim for everybody. He's pasul. He's married to a Goya. He shaves with a razor. What are you going to do about Rabbi? And Rabbi's taken back. Who are you, little chump? Just put on your kippah for the first time 6 months ago. You're going to tell Mr. Rabbi. You're going to tell the rabbi what to do. I've been a rabbi for 30 years. I've been a rabbi for longer than you even know what Judaism is. How could you possibly say such a thing? The best yet is when a convert comes. Convert comes to his friends, the Jewish friends that he has. He goes, listen, by the way, I'm converting, so my rabbi told me I'm considered more Jewish than you. Why? You drive on Shabbat. You're considered idol worshiper. At least I'm in the process of conversion. By the way, you're going to Gehinom if you continue this way. I'm going to Gan Eden. I'm a convert. I'm going to be a righteous Jew. You're going to Gehinom. Why? You're still wasting seed. You're still doing this. You're still doing that. So the friend doesn't want to be friends with him anymore. The rabbi doesn't want to be his rabbi anymore. Guess what? A lot of people don't want to be next to this person anymore. Is that the right approach? Let's see. I've told you guys before, Ocheach tochiach et amitecha, you must rebuke your brother, is a mitzvah from the Torah. But it also continues and says, V'lo tisa alav chet, don't make a sin as a result of it. So, if you're going to rebuke, as we learned from our series in Igeret HaRamban, if you're going to rebuke people, it must be done correctly, or else it's a sin. Or else the Gehinom that you're telling this other person he's going to go to is really the Gehinom that you're making for yourself. If your rebuke is coming from anger, if your rebuke is coming from arrogance, because you think you're better than him, because you know more than him, because you know more than her, so you want to show that you know more than her. And guess what? You're going to Gehinom, not them. They may go to Gehinom also, but you guys be roommates. And unfortunately today, Rabotai, a lot of people that have tried to fulfill this mitzvah of rebuking their brothers forgot the part about doing it to help people. They forgot that part. The rebuke of telling people that they should stop making sins against Hashem wasn't necessarily for the sake of helping people, but rather was for the sake of telling people that they're wrong and I'm right. Your rabbi is wrong and my rabbi is right. You're an idol worshiper and I'm worshiping Hashem. And it is a mistake. It's a very big mistake. Now, this, Rabotai, many times stems from arrogance. Arrogance that was already there, arrogance that's always been there, but now has a new and improved use. They use it in the name of God. So they were already arrogant before they did Teshuva. They were already arrogant before they started converting. But now they ran out of customers, because if you're arrogant with everybody else, the Gemara says everybody hates you, including your family. Nobody wants to listen to you. But now he has new friends, the new Jewish people. Now he's the first guy. He's going to Keilah. He's telling people they're all going to Gehenom. He's telling people they're all going to Kafakela. He's telling people that they're all Reshaim, without telling them why, who, what, when. Try to help them, just to tell them. It's a mistake. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, but Rabbi, you say it. If I say it, it's very different than if you say it. Why? I'm speaking to the public. I'm not focusing on any one particular person. I'm not looking at one person saying, you're the Rasha, you're going to Gehenom. I'm speaking to the public. You speak to an individual person, it has to be very different. You have to tread much more carefully. Anyone that has gotten private advice from me knows that. When I'm in a lecture, my job is to be scary. My job is to get you to change your way of life. When you come to me as a loser, because you just lost in life, because you just went with the Goya, because you just went against Hashem, because you just wasted seed, because you just did drugs, because you just killed somebody, almost, maybe, sometimes, but you're not so sure because he's still down. I'm not going to call you and tell you, hey, by the way, you're in Gehenom. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you, okay, we'll figure it out. Let's do something. Let's figure it out. Stop praying. I'll pray for you also. Why? It's a different circumstance. Where do we learn this from? We learn this, Rabotai, from Moshe Rabbeinu. We learn this, Rabotai, from Eliyahu Navi. We learn this from every one of the prophets. When Am Yisrael made the biggest sin you can possibly make at the worst possible time, they worshipped a golden calf. Some of them worshipped them, some of them simply didn't say anything about it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was in his private chavruta with Moshe Rabbeinu at the time. He tells Moshe Rabbeinu, go down to your nation, to your people. They went against me. Moshe Rabbeinu comes down, he sees what's going on, throws the 10 commandments, breaks them, comes back to Shamayim, and starts crying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. After HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to him, listen, I'm going to kill all of them and start a new people with you. You're the best, you didn't sin. I'm going to start something with you. Moshe Rabbeinu cries and begs HaKadosh Baruch Hu not to do it. He says, no Hashem, please, don't do it. But if you're going to do it and I can't convince you, kill me first. Kill me first. But yet later on, the entire book of Deuteronomy, the entire Sefer Devarim, is the last month and a half of Moshe Rabbeinu's life, where the entire time, with no exception, with no break, Moshe Rabbeinu tells Am Yisrael about all of the horrible things that are going to happen to them if they go against Hashem. Wait a minute, Moshe, didn't you just tell Hashem they're the best? You should forgive them. If not, just kill me first. They're so, they're little. They don't know what they're doing. They're brand new. They're a little retarded. They're not so sure. They made a mistake. Please forgive them. But yeah, you go to them and you tell them, you idiots, you morons, you fools. Am naval velo chacham. That's what he calls them. You fools, despicable people. You fools! You go against Hashem. You know what He's going to do to you? Look at Parashat Kitavo. He tells them, you know what Hashem is going to do to you? He's going to feed you the meat of your children. You go against Him. He's going to give you kadachat. He's going to give you tchorim. He's going to give you all types of diseases that you know about and that you don't know about. He's going to give you diseases you saw in Egypt and diseases you didn't see in Egypt. You're crazy to go against Hashem. Wait a minute, Moshe. Why are you calling them such names? Why are you yelling at them? Did you just tell Hashem just a few months ago that they're the best, they're the brightest, they don't mean it, they're little kids? What happened? Rabotai, Rav Yoel Misatmer, the Satmer Rebbe Alav Shalom, explains this sugya in the most fantastic, beautiful way that I will never do it service, or justice, but I could try. He says, Rabotai Yekarim, when you are going to rebuke the people, when you're going to talk to the nation, you are obligated to change their behavior. You telling them you're muchi muchi kuchi kuchi and giving them kisses is not going to help them. It's not going to help them. It's not going to help them. They're not going to change if you tell them they're perfect. It's not going to change if you tell them they're righteous. It's not going to help them. You have to tell them you're mistaken. You're going against Hashem. Especially when they're going against Hashem. But when you pray for them on Shachrit, Mincha, Arvit, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night, you better be crying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem, they don't mean it. They're little kids. They're stupid. They don't mean they're stupid. They're stupid for now. But I'll help them, Hashem. I'm going to do something about it. Here, I'm going to give them some CDs tomorrow. I'm going to share some lectures. I'm going to do something for them. Please, Hashem, give them some more time. When you're going to Hashem, the one that can actually control nature, the one that controls everything and controls their destiny, you cry to Him. You say to Hashem, I'm sorry, Hashem, they don't know. You know they don't know. What's the point if you kill them? What are you going to have left? The Hindus? What are you going to have left? The Chinese? What are you going to have left if you kill them? Please, Hashem, give them some more time. But when you go to the people, you have to tell them that they're wrong, or else they're never going to change. That's the difference. But if you come to people and you go and you have one-on-one meetings and your first opening conversation is, by the way, John, you know, it's your real name is Moses, but you go by John, right? You know, just for calling yourself John, you're going to Gehenom. You start the conversation like that, you think you're going to get somebody to change? No one's going to change. Only thing that's going to change is the guy's phone number, because he doesn't want you to call him anymore. No one's going to change that way. But how come you did it? Because you were wrong yourself. Your rebuke did not come from a good place. Your rebuke came from a bad place. Your rebuke came from your stressed out life. Your rebuke came from your own circumstance of frustration. You're frustrated that you just caught up and they're not much better than what you just started at. Now, a person can come to a keilah as a brand new Jew. Can someone help him find the bathroom? He's just going to the closets right now. When someone is mistaken, when someone is going the wrong way, you're supposed to help him. But you have to cater the help to the person. If you don't know how to do it, don't do it. Why? Because you winging it could create more damage than good. Rabbi Yisrael Misalant said once, when he was younger, his goal was to change the entire world. As he got older, he says that the entire world is too big, I'll change my country. As he got a little older, he says, my country is too big, I'm going to change my city. As he got a little older, he says, I don't have enough time to change the city, I'll change my neighborhood. As he got to his later days, he says, I'll try to change myself. I'll try to change myself, but if I would have started with myself, maybe I would have achieved something as great as the world. What happens, Rabotai, a lot of times we focus on other people's mistakes, other people's flaws, and we do not look in the mirror. The Gemara, Masechet Shabbat, says, En adam roeh chova be'atzmo. This is a rule of nature for a person who does not glue himself to the Torah. It's in his nature not to see the obligation in himself. Even if he learns Torah, but he's not glued to it, he won't see a flaw in himself. You come to him and you tell him he's doing something wrong, he's not going to like it. He's not going to listen. He's not going to believe you. Which means you have to be clever. You have to be clever and you have to give the rebuke in different ways. You have to custom cater it. If you see the guy is driving on Shabbat, you have to see who, what, when, and how. How to help this person. Don't start throwing rocks at people and think that that's going to change them. All that's going to do is create a desecration of Hashem's name and make you look like a crazy person. So now, as I said before, most of this happens because of frustration. Frustration of the new Baal Tshuva, frustration of the new convert. Now this frustration leads to a lot of problems. And if a person can simply control themselves, control their frustration, and give people a little bit of benefit of the doubt, a little bit of special attention, a little bit more effort without the hatred, you may succeed for yourself and for others. Rav Sharabani tells a real story that happened not too long ago about a new couple that religious couple in Eretz Israel in the north over there, and they had a new neighbor move in next door, and this neighbor was a rabbi and his kids and his wife. So they welcomed him, Baruch HaBa, Kvod Harav, thank you for moving in, pleasure to meet you. Everything looked good. After things moved in, everybody's happy about new neighbor. 2 o'clock in the morning, they start hearing screaming and yelling through the walls. But where do they hear it the most? In their bedroom. Why? Because the rabbi's house is connected to their house right at the bedroom area. The wall over there is what separates them. And they're hearing yelling. They can't make up the words, but they're hearing yelling and screaming and yelling and screaming. And it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I need to sleep. Got some work in a few hours. Got big knesset, stuff like that. What kind of rabbi is this? So the wife gets really upset. She's going to wake up the kids. The husband says, honey, he just moved in, the poor guy. Let it go. Let it go tonight. They're just settling in. I'm sure it's a one-time thing. You know what happens. The wife's really frustrated, but she says, Ba'ali yakar, my dear husband, you have good midot. I'm going to listen to you. Okay. They suck it up. Let it go. Try to fall asleep. Eventually they fall asleep. And the screaming stops eventually. The next night, same time, 2 o'clock in the morning, they start screaming at the next door, so much worse than the first time. It's almost like they're living inside their house. And they're screaming and they're yelling and they're screaming and they're banging on the walls like as if they want to break the house. This time, the wife, she's okay. She's like, oh, you know, it happens. She's already used to yesterday. But the husband, no, he's got an appointment at 6 o'clock in the morning. He's like, okay, that's it. I can't take it. I'm going to go tell him something. She goes, no, honey. They just moved in. Let it go. You know. No, I'm going to show him who's going to move in. He's going to be quiet. I got to go to sleep. I got an appointment in a few hours. What, 2 o'clock in the morning? What kind of rabbi is this? Hamas rabbi? What rabbi is this? No, honey, yesterday you convinced me. Let it go. Let this one go. You know, who knows? They just moved in. Who knows? Who knows what it is? The husband is so ticked off. He's so upset. He wants to break through the wall. But he says, you know what? Let me hear what they're saying over there. So he puts his ear to the wall to understand the words. and he starts hearing the biyuf, the sewer, coming out of people's mouth in there, he gets even angrier. He goes, that's a rabbi. That's what they say in a rabbi's house. That's it. I've had it. He starts putting his shoes on to go outside, to go to the guy's house. And his wife, she has to use her woman power. She goes, no, honey. She hugs him. No, I love you. No, don't go. Please, let this one go. Let this one go. Smart guy says okay to his wife. He says, what we're going to do though? He says, honey, you know what? Let's go and sleep in the kids' room. We'll sleep over there. That's not connected. He says, my dear wife, eshet chayil. You're a special woman, a special wise woman. I'm going to listen to you. So I'm going to change, take off the shoes. You go set up in the kids' room. She goes in the kids' room, and they have two little kids. One's a 4-year-old, and one's 6 months old. She walks into the room, and she sees them both cute little babies. They're sleeping. They're not awake. They're sleeping. Only problem is that the 6-month-old is something moving. There's something moving next to the 6-month-old, and when she turns on the light, she sees a yellow-black scorpion crawling on top of the 6-month-old, like he's going to a vacation, like he's crossing the ocean. And he's crawling, and he's getting closer and closer, and it's not such a big baby, and he goes right on his neck, and then on his head, and then back on his neck. Hashem Yishmor, Hashem Yishmor. This powerful mother doesn't know what to do, but her 6-month-old is less than 5 centimeters away from dying. Even if he squeaks, he cries, for sure he's going to get poked. She, at a moment of just siyata dishmaya, decides to just take the blanket from under and just shake it. The scorpion flies in the air, the baby's free, she takes the baby, runs out. Shtabach shemo la'ad. Don't try this at home though. Now she calls the people that deal with scorpions, all the people that deal with venomous animals and so on, and she comes back, goes, listen, there's somebody here, it's the scorpion's here, the husband just comes, what happened, honey? There's a scorpion there. Goes, oh, takes the other kid out. Okay, we got to kill the scorpion. The hotline tells her, you have to catch the scorpion. In case he stung your son, the only way to heal your son is we need to know what kind of scorpion it is. We can have some venom. So this, I don't know how she did it or how her husband did it, but all I know is that they caught the scorpion. They took a shoebox, they caught the scorpion. Me, I'm scared just telling the story. And they put the scorpion in a box, locked it up. The next day they're planning on taking and they waited a little while to see what's going on with the baby. The baby seemed fine, untouched. And they're waiting for the company. They took some pictures of the scorpion. They're waiting for the company to get back to them in a few hours, tell them what kind of scorpion it is. Is it dangerous, not dangerous? Is it... They say that this yellow and black scorpion was called Nivu Yericho. And this specific scorpion, when it stings, it simply destroys all of the bones in the body, where the person becomes paraplegic for life. They get the report, they're scared to death that this scorpion is still in their house. They go to the box, but they pick up the box and the box seems like it's heavy and there's nothing walking in there or something. They peek into a little hole, the scorpion killed itself. And in that moment, the wife, the Eshet Chayil, got the Siyat Dishmai. She says, my dear husband, look at that. Look at what happened here. We decided to what? To listen to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and be quiet and not go yell and hate and kill our next door neighbor that's making a lot of noise. We decided to be quiet for a second. And because of that, our kids are alive. That moment of anger that you had all the right in the world to go do whatever you want, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said no. And if you overcome it, the prize is enormous. Everybody knows how to get angry. Everybody gets angry. Question is it worth it? Now sometimes we get angry because other people have money and we don't. We get frustrated that Hashem rewarded them and not us. They got the job and we didn't. They live in a 5-story house in a Jewish community and we can't even afford to move into it. We can't even afford to move into their garage. We get angry. Well, Rabotai, Rabbi Nachman Breslev Alav Shalom says that every Rosh Hashanah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides who's going to be rich, who's going to be poor, who's going to make money, who's going to lose money. Once in a while, the Bet Din of heaven has your name on it, and they decide to give you prosperity. Yaron? Okay, it's his time. It's his time to shine. We're going to give him $10 million. So you could buy this, this, and that, open a yeshiva, do all these different things. Wait a second, wait, it comes for free? What world are you living in? Bet Din of Shamayim decided, okay, we're going to give, there's $10 million on the line for Yaron Reuven. But that comes with a price. What kind of price? They're going to send him the test from Gehenom itself. What test do they send? Rabbi Nachman Breslev says they send him the tests of anger. They sent them all types of annoying people and annoying situations and annoying circumstances and all types of frustrating things to happen before the shiur, after the shiur, and even during the shiur. Why? We want to see, are you willing to pay the price of not being angry? Guess what? You fail once, $10 million goes somewhere else. It'll have your name on it, it's just that somebody else is going to use the money. It's sort of like these people, these rich celebrities that die at 40 years old and all the money goes to somebody else, like that. They worked for 40 years or 4 years or however long it took them to make $100 zillion, then they die from overdose or some type of crazy accident and all the money goes to somebody else. What use was all that hard work when everybody else is enjoying the gain? A person's moment of weakness in expressing their anger can literally destroy the reward that Hashem wants to give them on a silver, gold, and diamond platter. Why? Hashem hates anger. Why does Hashem hate anger so much? The Gemara in Masechet Shabbat, page 108b, says, when a person expresses their anger by taking something and breaking it, by taking a bunch of money and throwing it in the air, by taking something and throwing it across the room, or the like, when they express their anger, they at that point in Shamayim, in the Bet Din of heaven, they're considered as if they just served an idol. They just brought a korban to an idol. So the Gemara says, what does one thing have to do with the other? This guy took a remote and threw it against the wall. That guy took a laptop and smashed it. And the other guy took a bunch of money and threw it in the air. The heck with it. What do all three of them have to do with idol worship? None of them are idol worshiping. They're going to Beit Knesset in the morning. So the Gemara says, if they already got to a point of anger, it's not good. If they got to a point of expressing their anger with something violent, they punched somebody, they threw something, they broke something, that means that they are under the chains of the Yetzirah itself. The Yetzirah has complete control of them. The Satan has complete control of them, which means the Yetzirah can treat them like a puppet. He's got the string. Today he tells him to throw a remote. Tomorrow he's going to break a laptop. Within a few weeks, go worship Yoshke. Go pray to Jesus. Go pray to Buddha. Go pray to Mustafa. Go pray to the Super Bowl. Go do something else. Why? You're under the chains. It's only a matter of time before you start worshiping idols, the Gemara says. You're under the chains already. You have no control of yourself. You have no control over yourself. You're a prisoner. Already, so might as well already say now, oh, that's the idol worshiper. Don't count him. Don't count him. That's why, Rabotai, one of the scariest things I've seen for myself when it comes to the tikkun of anger is when I saw how much the tikkun is. If you guys remember, about a month and a half ago, we published our campaign to raise some money for the Tikkun HaBRIT CD. And Baruch Hashem, some people were generous enough to join it. Many other people are still holding off just to see what's going to happen. Maybe the money's going to arrive some other way before they join. They just want to see what's missing. So far, what's missing is most of it. So now, on that, I also gave you a little bit of education of how tikkunim work. And I gave you a list. Somebody that's with a nida has to do 82 fasts or 82 tikkunim, meaning 82 times $5 or $10, depending on who you ask how much each tikkun should be worth. We calculate it as $5 because I already know that's hard enough. But don't think that being with a nida is only 82. It's also wasting seed, so it's 82 plus wasting seed, which is 84, so you're at 166. You did that for a year straight, good luck. But you got to do it. Why? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you want to fix that neshama purified, you got to do your best to fix it. Now you can't afford all of it, no problem. What can you afford? Can you afford one tikkun? Do one tikkun. Can you afford 10? Do 10. Whatever you could afford, you do. Once a month, twice a month, 10 times a month, whatever you could afford. Hashem is not going to punish you for what you don't have. He'll only punish you for what you do have and you choose not to do anything with it. So anyway, the tikkun of wasting seed, 84 fasts. Tikkun of nida, 82 fasts. I don't even want to tell you, the tikkun for anger is more than both of them. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu hates anger. Hates it. Hates it. Why? Because at the moment of anger, when you think about it, what are you so angry about? That things didn't go your way? Who are you? Who made you God? That things should go your way. You tried. You failed. So what? Who decided that you're going to fail? Who decides if you fail or succeed? You? You don't decide if you succeed or fail. You decide if you try or not. You want to be a Talmid Chacham? You want to learn a lot of Torah? You go to Kol 5-10 years, you're still an ox. There's nothing to be upset about. You tried. You didn't go. You didn't do anything about it. You stayed home and you were doing nothing all day, watching TV all day like a loser. Then you should be mad. You should be mad that you're a loser. Then you should be mad about. Guess what? Hashem is even more mad. Why? He gave you 10 years to do nothing with. But if you tried your best and you didn't succeed, there's nothing to be upset about. You tried looking for a zivug. No one took. No one caught your eyes. No, you didn't catch anybody else's eye. There's nothing to be upset about. Why? Hashem decided. You tried, no problem. But if you just sat there, did nothing, waited for some Malach Gavriel to bring you your own private shidduch, then okay, that's a different story. You should go to a mental institution, maybe. Probably Hashem's not going to fault you for any. You're mental. Won't punish you for sins. You consider shoteh. But the reality is, Rabotai, we are not in charge of our success. We're in charge of our effort. Whether your movie is going to succeed or not, Hashem decides. Yeah, but it's a Torah movie. So what? So what? Yeah, but it's the best movie ever. So what? I'll tell you a private story. I have a movie that we did. We put a lot of work into these movies. I mean, the amount of time, effort, resources, attention to detail is enormous. These movies, I personally think, if I would have saw them 20 years ago, I would have been a rabbi by now. Wait, I'm a rabbi. Be'emet, these movies are unbelievable. These movies are unbelievable. Anyone who pays attention to the details, it looks like mamash Hollywood makes it. Only this is a kosher version of Hollywood. These movies are unbelievable. The problem is, sometimes you see the movie is beautiful movie. Anyone that watches it has some type of divine inspiration, but you look at the view counts, like only a couple thousand people watched it. Like, why? Now, some movies are big hits. I have no idea why Hashem chooses this one, not that one. I have no idea. But one thing got to me. One thing got to me, and I this is one of my ways of expressing myself. Bear with me here. We made a movie. This movie, I'm not going to say what the movie is because then it's going to become a problem, but anyone that knows has been following will know which movie it is. We have a movie. This movie is unbelievable. In my opinion, it's my favorite movie. It's not about me, don't worry. This movie is mamash unbelievable. 9-10 minute movie, and there was we got a few thousand hits on Facebook, a few thousand hits on some other channel, whatever. It got some hits, but nothing like it's supposed to. Anyway, one time this organization invited me to speak for them, and then they backed out last minute. But before they backed out, they asked me to show them some examples of my work to show their, whoever. And I sent them this movie. This is an example of my work. So then, the day of the lecture, they backed out. They came up with some fake reason. I know what the real reason is, no problem. And they backed out. I moved on with my life. And the person that tried to make the arrangement was very offended by them. And I said, no worry, it's their loss, but it is what it is. If that wasn't enough, annoying enough that you restructure your whole life, your whole schedule just to give somebody a shiur for free and so on, maybe a couple of months pass by, a movie comes out, somebody else, some other rabbi. What movie? My movie! The same exact story. How do I know it's my story and he didn't hear the story from somewhere else? Because every time I tell you a story, I put a little bit of me in there, my own personal touch in there. You can read the story in a book, but then there's the way that I say the story. He used my story. It's my story. It's my little thing in there. It's not part of the story that you read in the book. And the best part about it, it's almost identical. It's an uglier movie. It's not like ours. But guess what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me a tikkun of all tikkunim. What? The view count doubled ours in the first 24 hours. I wanted to take my head and just throw it against the wall. I couldn't believe it. Why? How could this make any sense? But that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu showing you. I will decide who succeeds and who fails. It has nothing to do with quality. It has nothing to do with quantity. It has nothing to do with who, what, when, and how. It's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All of it. He only uses you to make it look realistic. That's it. Now I know we put our effort into it, and Baruch Hashem, a lot of people have done Teshuva because of that movie and still do it. But that was a test. That was a test like any other test. And they'll continue. What do you think, just because I told the story, the test is going to end? The tests continue. But you have these moments where you just want to get angry. You want to start calling the people and say, I want to call them. It's like, aren't you ashamed of yourself? Not only did you steal my movie, but you even stole the story and how I say it, and you gave it to this one, and you actually called it the same name. Like, you didn't even hide it. You didn't even hide it. It's not like nothing. Quiet. Let them do what they want to do. You do what you want to do. Why? Kadosh Baruch Hu's in control. We didn't call anyone. We didn't say anything to anyone. This happened a long time ago. None of you even knew until now. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides. But inside, that fire was lit like a volcano. I want to take my head and just throw it. Why? It doesn't make any sense. It's this, it's that. But that's the way it is, Rabotai. Before HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give you Shefa, He will send you different tests. And Rabbi Nachman of Breslov says the first test is a test of anger. He wants to see if you serve other gods. Why? Because those other gods are not going to give you any money. Only He can give you money. If you're serving them, go get money from them, he says. Go get money from them. Now, the Gemara in Masechet Kiddushin says the only person that benefits from anger is the person that gets angry. What does this mean? It says the person that gets angry, everyone around him loses. Everyone around him loses. If he's angry at his wife, she loses. She doesn't want to be married to him anymore. If it's a husband, he doesn't want to be married to him, and she doesn't want to be married to him. If it's employees, they don't want to work for him. If it's a boss, the boss most likely will fire him. If it's a customer, most likely they'll do less business. If it's a vendor, they most likely regret the day that he called them and became a customer. An angry person, no one wants to associate with. But the Gemara says the only person that benefits is the angry person. So then the Gemara says, what does he benefit? If he just lost his wife, a husband, the kids, everybody hates him, what does he benefit? He goes, oh, he was angry for a minute. That's the point. He lost everything else. The only thing he has left is the anger. He was angry for 10, 20 minutes. He broke some stuff. Okay, that's it. That's what he benefited of. That's it. Chazaku Baruch. Enjoyed it? You broke half the house? Good job. You lost everything else in the makings. That's all you got. That's the only thing you're going to get out of anger. And the truth is, Rabotai, if you think about it, even the anger is not so much fun. Now, how much can a person lose with anger? There's a couple of famous stories. There was one time a guy in Eretz Yisrael who worked construction, and he every day would come home with his truck, his cement truck, and he had a big truck, so he needed a spot in front of his house because it's a big truck and it's not easy to find parking for such a big truck. And every so often someone would steal his parking spot, and he would get so angry he would want to break the car, he would want to smash the car and run over it. But you're not going to do that, it's going to cost a lot of money. And he would go around the block and go find parking, take 15-20 minutes and park the car and then walk and get home really, really upset. And his wife says hello and he gives one of these hellos that you rather not have. And the kids don't even want to say hello after they saw what happened to the Ima. And that's what happens. Anyone stole his parking spot, everyone suffered. One day, he returns from work and he sees a brand new car parked in front of his house. And he says, this audacity of this neighbor to park and show off his brand new car, to park and show off his car in front of me. Not only is he parking my spot, but he shows off, I'm working my butt off over here trying to make a living, and this guy shows me his brand new car and I'm driving this truck. That's it. He had it. He backed up his cement truck and started unloading all of the cement on top of this car. He says, now remember not to park in my spot. He goes inside feeling like a superhero. Sees the house is dark. All of a sudden, surprise! Surprise? What? Surprise what? He goes, it's your 40th birthday! Surprise, HaBa! Oh, okay, yeah, I forgot. I was so worked up. Yeah, I forgot. Did you see? See what? His wife gives him the keys. Your brand new car! What car? The one he just destroyed. The one he just destroyed. That car will never be brand new again. Now, who benefited out of that anger? Not even him. Not even him. Not even him. Another famous story, Rabotai. There was a guy young guy, getting engaged, and this guy was in Eretz Yisrael, religious community, tried to make a living by being a driver, like an Uber driver. And on the day of his engagement party, he said, "Let me make a few hours of work, make some money, because right now you need to get married. It costs money. It's not cheap. So let me make work for a few hours, then get ready, and I'll be at the party at 8 o'clock. I have plenty of time to work." That's the mentality of an Israeli. In America, they already take off a week in advance. In Israel, they work the day of the wedding sometimes. Different mentality, a little bit. So, anyway, the guy is working at around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. He's looking at the clock. Okay, you know what? Let me finish off the day. One more drive, I'll finish off the day. He sees an old man at the stop. He says, "Yeah, I can help you. Oh, take me to this place." "Okay, fine, no problem." He goes, No, but the old man says, "Well, listen, I want to make sure you promise you're going to take me exactly to the door. I'm going to pay you full price, but you can take me exactly to the door. It's a long drive, but you got to take me exactly to the door. No, drop me off somewhere. I don't know my way around." Okay, sir, come on in. So the old man comes in, respectable old man, doesn't know him, doesn't know nothing about him, but he starts driving. It's a long way. And he starts driving, and as he gets close to the destination, mamash, like a block away, there's a jam, there's a traffic jam. And now it's an engagement party. So he doesn't want to run late. He's got to go home. He's got to get dressed. He's got to get it situated. So he sees that it's going to take almost as long to get around the block, to get to the destination door to door, as it did just to get to that point. Whereas if the old man walks, it's like, mama's 3-4 minute walk. So he tells the old man, he's like, "Listen, do me a favor. Just get off over here. There's a lot of traffic. It's going to take me a half hour, 40 minutes, just to go around this traffic. For what? For 4 minutes? Just walk over here." The old man says, No. We made a deal. You said you're going to drive me door to door. I don't know my way around. You're going to drive me door to door. You're going to deliver on your promise. He says, "Listen, I got stuff to do, old man. Get out. I need to go." He goes, No. You promised me. He goes, "Oh, you're going to be like that? Okay." He reverses and goes back all the way to where they started. He drives all the way back to where they started, opens the door, takes the old man, pulls him out of the door. He goes, "Now you can start from nothing." Closes the door in his face and leaves. Now on the way to his house, he starts thinking maybe he was a little rough with the old man. Shouldn't have been this, that. He has a Jewish neshama. He's not complete evil. But what's done is done. He gets to his house, he gets dressed quickly. Okay, you know what? Let's have a good laugh with the friends, have a couple of drinks, celebrate with my new kala. Yalla, let's go. He gets to the engagement party, and everyone welcomes him. Baruch HaBa, Mazal Tov, Mazal Tov, Mazal Tov. Okay, so when we're starting, the whole thing goes, no, we're waiting. What are we waiting for? Waiting for the grandfather that came from America. Who's the grandfather that came from America? Because the bride's grandfather came from America. Okay, so wait. Almost 2 hours they wait. After 2 hours, the grandfather walks in. Who's the grandfather? The old man that he threw out of the car. The old man sees him. He sees the old man. Everybody comes to hug the grandfather, and the grandfather wants nothing to do with anyone. He just says, "I want to say something. Give me the mic, please." He takes the mic. He starts telling everybody everything that just happened to him. And he says, the reason why I'm late is everything that just happened to me. And the driver was this Khatan. He did it to me. I came here with a check, he says. I came here with a check to buy them a house. Now I'm not giving them anything if she marries him. Nothing. They're removed from everything. I'll completely disown her if she marries him. Shidduch broke. Such chaos, the shidduch broke. She ended up marrying somebody else. He ended up going a different way. Of course, the old man is wrong. You're not allowed to take revenge. You're not allowed to embarrass another Jew in public. He was wrong also, but nonetheless, who won out of their anger? Who won out of the young man's anger? Who won out of the old man's anger? No one. No one. Did they have a right to be angry? Yeah. They had all the right in the world to be angry. The old man should have got out? Yeah, yes, maybe no. Doesn't make a difference. Hashem said no. That's the test. Right before you got a house for free. You know what's a house for free in Eretz Yisrael? It's not like America. Every Joe Schmo can get a house, just have credit. Get a couple people to lend you some money, buy a down payment, you get credit, you get a house. In Israel, you have to have a lot of money to get a house. And you don't make much money over there like you do in America. To get a free house? Ooh, what? You almost got a free house. Now you got nothing. Why? One moment of weakness. One moment of weakness. Instead, you're going to go back to driving people making maybe $100 a day. Hopefully. A person loses so much by simply getting angry. There was actually one guy, one old man, that was known as an angry guy. And in Bet Knesset, somebody stepped on his foot by accident. The old man got so angry, he started yelling in the guy's face, he had a heart attack, died. Rav Steinemann, Alav Shalom, says, Na'araiti v'gam zakanti, I've been young, I've been old, like David HaMelech, and I never saw anyone lose out by giving in, by letting go of anger. Letting it go. Okay, you're right, you're wrong, who cares? You're right, you're wrong, who cares? Rav Ephraim, in his Sefer, Doresh Tov, tells of a personal story that he witnessed with his own eyes. Years ago, there was a very scary gangster in Netanya. He was so scary, even the police was scared of him. Now this guy was massive in size. Massive. I remember when I saw my cousin for the first time in 20-something years. I remember when I was a kid he was big, but I was a little kid. But when we went to visit Eretz Yisrael, I think he grew even more. Massive, massive. Some people, just massive people. I had some clients that used to play football, and just massive people. And you feel like a little puppy next to them. So imagine a guy like this, it's a massive person, but it's also dangerous. Gangster, kills people. So one time there was a guy that was so scary, even the police was scared of him. In his neighborhood, somebody says something, if his name is mentioned, it's going to end. Not so well. One day, b'siyata d'ishmaya, this gangster decides to what? Do tshuva. Decides to do tshuva. Now this gangster is being investigated by the Israeli police, the Israeli feds, on charges of murder, and if he gets convicted, he's going to jail and he's not coming out. And now that he wanted to leave, he left the gangster life, all of the enemies, all of the friends, everybody went against him. His life is on the line every day. They're shooting at him, trying to kill him every other day. Money is pretty much non-existent anymore. He used to stealing, doing all types of things to get money. Now he can't. No one wants to hire him. No one wants to deal with him. And now he's trying to do tshuva. He's trying to put on tefillin. He's trying to learn a little bit, become an avrech. Why? He knows this is the truth. I'm going to go all the way. But nothing is going for him, the poor guy. Nothing is going for him. He says, okay, maybe Be'ezrat Hashem, you know, if I find a job, no one wants to hire him. Who wants to hire an ex-criminal? Then say, okay, you know what, job, okay, maybe I'll start something. Doesn't have the money. Goes to family, ask him for help. Help, must, what are you crazy? What are you doing to yourself? Go back to the life, make the money. They start making fun of him. Everything in his life goes upside down. All in the same time. Then he says, okay, you know what, maybe if I find a nice woman, she'll give me some chizuk. How do you find a nice woman in a Jewish world? Go to a shatchan. You don't find her in bars and pubs. Go to a shatchan. Shatchan says, he's scared to death not to take his name. Yeah, sure. We should find you somebody 1, 2, 3. Bezrat Hashem, Bezrat Hashem. He puts the name, throws it in the garbage. He goes, whoever, they're going to fire me if I show him this guy as a candidate for their daughter. No one wants to marry this guy. No one wants to marry this gangster. What are you crazy? So as his entire world is collapsing, he lived mamash in a neighborhood where Rabbi Chaim grew up. He goes to Bet Knesset and he's learning. And every day he's learning, every day he's dedicated, does whatever is possible to make ends meet, very quiet, to himself. No one wants to be friends with him. No one wants to talk to him. He's not welcome, but no one's going to say leave either. Then, one day, he walks into the shul, or actually he gets up out of his chair, and he gets up, and he turns around to leave the place, but he's so massive, sometimes you can't even see who's in front of you. And as soon as he turns around, he bumps into an old man. And this old man was an angry one. He's one of these old men that's like bitter just for being alive. And this old man starts tearing him apart. He starts cursing him out and yelling at him and gets so angry, he takes his hand and slaps the giant. He takes his hand, slaps the big guy. But as soon as the hand connected, the old man realized he just made the mistake of his life. His anger went too far, even for him. But it was too late. You already slapped the big monster. No one is willing to say a thing. Why? They know just what just happened. They're going to start, they should get prepared for Kaddish. Should prepare for Kaddish. They're counting how many people, if there's enough people for Minyan for Kaddish. The old man's going to meet his maker real soon. No one says a thing. Rabbi Chaim is watching this. Rabbi Chaim is watching this. No one says a thing. Imagine the embarrassment. Imagine the nightmare he's already dealing with. Even without it, you do something. The big giant, ex-gangster, says to the old man, he puts his hand on his shoulder. The old man almost got a heart attack. He puts his big hand, his bare paw, on top of his shoulder, and he says, Slicha, I'm sorry I hit you. And walks away. Rabbi Chaim was so amazed by this, and how this guy was a real gibor now, was a real hero now. Who was a gibor? Who was a hero in Judaism? Who's a hero? The Mishnah in Pirkei Avot says, someone that overcomes his Yetzirah. That's a gibor, not someone that can lift a house. Someone that overcomes his Yetzirah is a gibor. That's a hero. Rabbi Chaim says, I want to follow him. I want to follow with this gibor. I want to see what happens to him. And he says within a matter of a couple of months, mamash, really quickly, his whole world turned right back side up. The government dropped the charges. No one knows till this day why. Dropped the charges. Cleared. Shidduch. All of a sudden, a Bat Israel Kdosha Tzadika was enamored to get married to this guy. No one knows why. All of a sudden, everyone wants to give him business, give him work. Parnasah b'shefa, started making a living. A good living too. Everything started working out. Why? You passed the test. You passed the test. You passed the test. It's not just angry, your wife curses you out one time and you say, oh, no, my friend. The test is big. But so is the reward. So is the reward. The failure is also big though. When a person fails and he realizes what he put on the line, what it cost him. Each time he fails, he'll cry over it. A lot more than he cries over the things that makes him upset. We see that ultimately one of the major reasons of why a person fails at the test of anger and really all other weak character traits is, number one, they accept it as normal. They accept that being angry is a normal thing that you should do. Everyone gets angry, which is a true statement. But just because you get angry doesn't mean you have to express it like an animal. Doesn't mean you have to yell and scream. Doesn't mean you have to break stuff. Doesn't mean you have to become violent. Getting angry happens, but there are different ways of expressing it. There are different ways of expressing it. The second thing is, when a person does not put the control of himself and he accepts it as normal, then that also gives him permission to get angry at everything. Meaning that there's no threshold. He can get just as angry at somebody stealing money from him as he does at somebody crossing him on a sidewalk, crossing him online when he's on a grocery store. He's just as angry. The guy stole $500,000 from him. He wants to kill the guy. The guy that crossed him to buy his Twix bar online in a deli, he wants to kill him also. Same thing. Obviously, does anybody think of those two things as the same thing? The angry guy does. The angry guy expresses his anger the same one and the other. There's no limitation. That's when you see that that person is simply a prisoner of the Yetzer Hara. Paroh, in this week's parasha, says, "Vayi b'shalach Paroh et ha'am velo nacham Elohim derech eretz Pilishtim ki karov hu. Ki amar Elohim pen yenachem ha'am berotam milchama v'shavu Mitzrayma." So it happened when Paroh sent out the people that God did not lead them by way of the land of the Philistines, because it was near, for God said, perhaps the people will reconsider when they see a war and they will return to Egypt. So Paroh reneged on his deal. He told Moshe Rabbeinu, go, get out of here right away. But now he changed his mind. Why? Two Jews came to him. Two lefty liberal Jews, Netanya and Aviram, came to him and said, Paroh, how could you let that happen? You just fired all of your employees, and they're all free employees. How are you going to rebuild this country? All of the Jews were slaves. That means they were free employees. You just fired all of them. You just let them all go. How are you going to rebuild this country of yours that's now broken from frogs, from hail, from darkness, from all types of damage? How are you going to rebuild it? The Egyptians are not going to do it. They're comfortable like the Americans. What are you? They don't want to work for anything less than $20 an hour. You need to get the Jews back. How could you let it happen? How could you let the Jews take advantage of you? They heated them up. Why are they heating them up, these two Jews? Why are they heating them up? Because they knew that their position in Egypt was very glorious. Nice paycheck. A lot of kavod. But now that they're all free, they're all in the desert, they have a new leader, Moshe Rabbeinu. They don't have a job anymore. So they went and heated up and stirred up some problems with Paroh. Paroh, in his moment of weakness, instead of listening to the last year of plagues that he got on his head directly from God, instead he listened to these two fools. And he listened to his anger and went and chased them and ended up destroying even more than what he could save. So we see here that a moment of anger for Paroh cost him even more than what letting go of Am Yisrael cost him. Now, the truth is, Rabotai, is that every time we express anger, we're showing Hashem that we not only do not know the damage that it causes us, but we also are missing a little bit of emunah in Hashem Himself. When Am Yisrael got to Yam Suf, they knew that the Egyptians are coming to get them. On the right side, there's anacondas and scorpions. On the left side, there's anacondas and scorpions. And in front, they have an ocean that doesn't seem to end. So they start crying. Some say, let's go back and be slaves again. At least we were alive. Some say, let's fight. Even if we die, at least we die with pride. But then Nachshon ben Aminadav, Nachshon the son of Aminadav, says, no. We should go in the water. If Hashem brought us all the way here, there must be a reason. But everybody starts crying. So Moshe Rabbeinu cries to Hashem, help us. Hashem says, Mati tzak elai, what are you screaming to me for? Move forward. Do something about it. Show you believe in me. Don't just tell me you believe in me. Make something of a sacrifice. Nachshon, the son of Aminadav, from the tribe of Judah, walks into the water with an intention to either be part of the miracle that Hashem is going to bring and show everyone who runs the world, or die trying to prove it. Showing his level of emunah, and that's why the Mashiach will come from him. The sea was split into 12, one tube of water for each tribe according to the Rambam, and the tribe of Judah can forever thank Nachshon ben Aminadav, and so can we, because if it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't be here. But after we passed this and we got to the other side, the Egyptians followed. Hashem drowned all of them, with the exception of Paroh, and all of their gold was spit out on the beach, which was one of the few ways that Am Yisrael became very wealthy. All of the gold armor and the gold wheels and the gold swords and so on that they had, all of it was spit out by the ocean onto the beach of where Am Yisrael was. So at that moment, when Am Yisrael saw that not only did Hashem kill the Egyptians, but He also gave them a monetary benefit from it, it says a pasuk that we say in Tefillah every day, Vayar Yisrael et hayad hagdolah, asher asa Adonai b'Mitzrayim, vayiru ha'am et Adonai vayaminu ba'Adonai b'Moshe avdo. So Am Yisrael saw the great hand of God that inflicted on Egypt, and the people feared Hashem, and they had emunah in Hashem and in Moses' servant. So he shows here the map. To get to emunah, first you start with acknowledging Hashem's hand, that He's the one that runs the world. Don't get mad because He's the one that's controlling the destination of everything, the outcome of everything. After a person pays attention to that Hashem runs the world, it's much easier to have emunah in Hashem, because you already are afraid of Him. By seeing His hand running the world, you're afraid of Him, and then you'll have emunah in Him, and then you'll have emunah in the rabbis. That's in essence this verse giving us a map of how to get to our spiritual destination that we need to have. On the other hand, what if we don't? We have a situation in the Torah where it seems like certain people that we hold very highly got upset, did something wrong, and it seems to contradict some of the things we say. So we see that, for example, Reuven, from the tribe of Reuven, got upset that Yaakov, his father, didn't put Reuven's mom, her bed in his tent after Rachel died. So he decided to take the initiative and put his bed in there. Put his bed in there. The Torah writes it as if he slept with his own mother. He didn't, obviously. But he says, you messing with your father's privacy, it's like you committed incest. But yet, even though Yaakov was very, very upset, he didn't punish Reuven. He didn't rebuke him, even though he was angry at him. He didn't express his anger until the end of his life. You see, the last blessing that Yaakov gives Reuven, he rebukes him, gives him on his head. We're talking about decades after this whole thing happened. When Moshe rebuked the people right before he died also. But when they were doing something wrong, he didn't rebuke them right away. He cried to Hashem on their behalf. He stayed quiet because he learned it from Yaakov. But in the situation of Avraham, we see that it was different. Avraham saw that Ishmael was doing something wrong, and even though he didn't want to, his wife Sarah came to him and says, kick out your son Ishmael. I don't want him messing with my son Yitzchak. And Avraham was told by Hashem, listen to your wife Sarah and do what she says. And Avraham listened to him. So how come Avraham was much more stringent, or at least seems like much more stringent than his grandson Yaakov, than his descendant Moshe? How come he reacted so harshly, but yet his direct descendants weren't as harsh? Or at least it seems. Now, expressing anger, Rabotai Karim, the Sefer Leket Yediot quotes many, the English collection of facts, mentioned many sources across the Torah of what the Chachamim talked about anger, what they said about it. Yaakov had all the reasons in the world to be angry at his son Reuven, but he didn't kick him out. Moshe had all the reasons in the world to get upset at Am Yisrael, but he didn't quit. But Avraham had a reason to be upset at his son, but he did kick him out. Now you can't say that Yaakov and Moshe are right, and for not getting angry or keeping their anger to themselves, they're right, but Avraham is wrong. So how does it all make sense? When a person is looking for a shidduch, he's looking to find a wife, she's looking to find a husband, one of the most important things to look at is how generous this person is. Koso, kiso, vekaso. If he gets drunk, that's koso, that's his. If he drinks too much, he drinks too much, it's not good. Kiso, how generous they are, his pocket. If he makes you pay for dinner on your date, end off the dates. Why? Something's wrong. Something's wrong. A person to be that stingy doesn't want to pay for a date. Oh, but it's expensive, he's going on a lot of dates. Okay, so pick one then. Stop going on dates. Stop wasting people's time. If a person does not spend time and effort into something, he's not going to take it seriously. If a person is not willing to pay for a woman's dinner, he's most likely not going to be willing to marry her either. So if a person is cheap, it's not a good habit, it's not a good thing. This is one of those things where it's almost impossible to change a person's nature when they're cheap. It's a disease. Almost impossible. Kaso, anger. How does he act when he gets angry? Now, of course, when you're on a date, most of the time you're not going to get angry. So you have to pay attention to how he deals with certain people. How does he deal with the guy at the parking lot? How does he deal with the clerk in the store? How does he deal with people? Does he have an attitude towards them? Does he yell at them? Does he demean them? But same thing with a woman. If a woman is demeaning, if she's insulting, the Avodat Kodesh of the Chidah in chapter 11 says a person must ignore someone who is easily angry on the shidduch, but if they already married one, they should do whatever they can to not cause this person to be angry. Meaning you have to pretty much walk on eggshells. Why? Because if your husband, your wife is angry, and you're the one that's making him angry constantly, then Chida says you're attaching yourself to idolatry. He's already performing idolatry, and you're making him angry. You're in essence attached to this idolatry. You're married to it. You're causing it. So you're already married to somebody. No one's telling you to get divorced. But you have to do whatever you can not to make this person angry. If that means you're going to change before they do, then you change before they do. Don't wait for them to change. Now, if a person is married to a person, he has to know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu judges a person measure for measure. So if a person, the way they act towards Hashem is how their wife is going to act towards him. If he's worthy, his wife will be a helper. If you're righteous, your wife will help you. She'll help you with different things. But if Hashem is unhappy with you, all of a sudden your wife is going to have complaints against you. You didn't even do anything, but she's complaining. She'll rebel against him. All of a sudden she doesn't want to listen to him. All of a sudden she doesn't want to keep Shabbat. All of a sudden she doesn't want to go to his parents' house. All of a sudden she doesn't want to buy this and that he needs. All of a sudden she doesn't want to be the same wife that she was. That's Hashem talking to you. Talking to you, telling you he's not happy with you. When he's happy with you, your wife will be happy with you. So what does a guy do to make sure that his wife is happy with him? Try to ignore everything she does wrong. Unless it's going to cause major damage to the house. Unless it's going to cause major damage, like she decides to bring her friends over to watch Super Bowl in your house, that you have to say something, protest. But if she spends a little bit carelessly, she is not so careful with her cleaning habits like you are, she's not the best chef, she doesn't do this, she doesn't do that, all those different things, let it go. Let it go. Why? It's not worth the fight. It's not worth the fight. It's not worth the fight. Now, if they're happy with him in heaven, the Chesed LaAvraham, Rav Avraham Azulai says that that's gonna change the actions of his wife. All of a sudden she'll become a better cleaner, a better cook, a better wife, a better everything. But if they're unhappy with him, then the complaints will increase, meaning he's causing his own loss. Rabbi Avraham Azulai says. But he says this, measure for measure, is only true for tzaddikim. Why only tzaddikim? Because Rashaim scare their wives into doing everything. They scare their wives into cleaning, they scare their wives into doing a lot of things that the wives doesn't really want to do. So she hates the husband in the heart. But if someone's trying to be a tzaddik, and he needs to know that you're going to be the best measure of how and where you stand is based on how your wife is treating you. Now, back to our equation, our last equation for the night, our sugya. How is it that the lack of expression of Yaakov, lack of expression of anger by Yaakov to what Reuven did, and the lack of anger shown by Moshe is contradicted by their teacher? Their teacher Avraham did the opposite. When he saw that Ishmael was going against, was not doing good, he kicked him out. So how come it was right for him, for Avraham to kick out Ishmael, and not right for Yaakov and Moshe to kick out Am Yisrael? How come? I gave you the answer already. The answer is, it all depends on the damage being caused. On the situation of Yaakov, he saw that Reuven's mistake only affects Reuven and only affects Yaakov. It doesn't affect the rest of the brothers. And Reuven in his nature is not a bad guy, he's not evil, so he's not affecting his brothers in a negative way to do the same things he did. So in reality, he was an independent sinner, and the victim was Yaakov himself. So there's no need to rebuke him, because that's going to risk him breaking and going to work for Esav. In the situation of Moshe Rabbeinu, he learned also from Yaakov, but also he saw that Am Yisrael is already causing enough damage to themselves. If he doesn't fight for them, no one's going to fight for them, and Hashem could very well Chas v'Shalom destroy them. So a complaint about them to them, but to Hashem, I'll always fight for them. I always say to Hashem, no, they're the best, they're the greatest, they're only little, they don't know what they're talking about yet. Give him time. So how come it's different with Avraham Avinu? Avraham, of course he saw that Ishmael was a Rasha. Of course he saw that he's a negative influence. But he was afraid that if he rebukes Ishmael and kicks him out, he would lose him forever. Like rabbis say, listen, I don't want to tell my kehillah not to drive on Shabbat, because I'm afraid if I tell them not to drive on Shabbat, then they're not going to come to shul anymore. We say you're not allowed to do such a thing. What's the source? Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu had a similar logic. He says, I don't want to go rebuke Ishmael, even though he's a Rasha. I don't want to rebuke him, but maybe he's going to go and make matters worse. But that's when HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent him his wife. And his wife says, no, listen, even though you're afraid that Ishmael is going to get worse, that is something that's still 50-50. What's 100% certainty is that if he continues driving on Shabbat, if he continues staying in our house, he will definitely make the good ones bad. He'll make Yitzchak bad, because he's trying to influence Yitzchak. If you continue letting the Mechalel Shabbat come to your shul and act like he owns it, guess what? He's going to ruin the rest of the people that are trying to do tshuva. So you must kick him out unless he does. He's going to do tshuva right now. You cannot give him kavod. You cannot say he's a tzaddik. Can't be a chanfan. Can't be a kiss up. If he's going against Hashem, you have to do something about it. So Hashem came to Avraham Avinu and told Avraham, listen to your wife Sarah, she's right. And kick out Ishmael. Why? Because although you mean well to protect Ishmael from getting worse, you cannot do it at the cost of Yitzchak. You cannot do it at the cost of the one that's already doing the right thing. Because now what you're risking, one is bad, one is good. If you leave the bad where it is and the good where it is, guess what? Both will become bad. Both will become bad. But if you get rid of the bad, you'll have the good stay as is, and there's always a chance that the bad will become good. Because he got rebuked. Because he got told that there's a consequence for his crime. Which means, Rabotai Karim, that the Al Shich Al Chokmah says here that the negative influence of Ishmael would have influenced Yitzchak, and that outweighs the positive influence that Ishmael would get by staying in their house. You cannot do a mitzvah in the way of an averah. So even though Avraham had all of the reasons in the world to get upset at Ishmael, all the reasons in the world to get upset at his wife, all the reasons in the world to get upset at everything, what did he do? He didn't get upset. What did he do? He listened to Hashem. What does Hashem want? He prayed to Hashem, and Hashem sent him a message to his wife. His wife told him, you cannot risk what we have in our hand in order to save something that's not in our hand. So this, Rabotai, is a little bit of musar for us. When you're going to help people do tshuva, first and foremost, you have to make sure you're going there with the intention of helping them. Helping them being the key. Helping them get better. Not helping them by simply yelling at them for no reason. Or because you know and they don't. At some point you didn't know either. Second, you have to listen that if you're going to rebuke somebody, you have to do it. It always has to be custom made. You can't just simply rebuke everyone the same way. The best way to do it is to do it indirectly. By giving them the information that either I myself is doing or saying, or Rav Mizrahi, or someone else that's speaking what we're speaking, let them listen to it from a third party. That way, they'll feel less vulnerable, less attacked. But if you do it directly, you attack them directly. Oh, I can't believe your wife wears a wig. Oh, I can't believe that your son's Mechalet Shabbat. Oh, I can't believe that you ate treif. Oh, I can't believe this. You should do that. You're not going to do anything. No results are going to come out from that. You have to do it more. You have to use your brain. You're right for being upset. You should be upset. If you're not upset, you should check your Jewish pulse. You should be upset. But there's a way to be upset. There's a way to express that state of being upset. And if you want to compare it as far as between what I do and what you do, I explained it already, there's a very big difference between talking to the public and talking to the individual. When you talk to the public, you have to tell them about all the things that they're doing wrong. When you're talking to the individual, you have to spoon feed him. Because if you tell him everything he's doing wrong on day one, directly, you'll break the guy. Most of the times you'll break the person. So you have to be very careful with what you do and how you do it. Take your time. Always remember, just like you are Hashem's child, so is he, so is she. So the fact that they're wicked is most of the time because of ignorance. Sometimes it's because of other reasons, but most of the time it's because of ignorance. You have to just simply tread carefully. But don't think for a second that that's going to relieve you from your own personal tshuva. Especially tshuva of anger. If you have not done tshuva for anger, you haven't improved yourself when it comes to anger, it's best you don't try to rebuke anyone. Because there's a 95% chance that your rebuke is simply coming from anger. It's not coming from love. It's not coming from a good place. Now how could yelling and screaming at people sometimes about Gehenom be a rebuke of love? Because you see it, and you see that that's what's going to happen to them, and you cry about them, and that's why you want them to stop. Not because you want them to have nightmares. Not because you want them to see that you're right and they're wrong. But the opposite. You feel bad for them, that they're going to go to Gehenom if they don't do tshuva. So with that being said, a person needs to know that there is rules for everything, including rebuke, including teaching other people, including contacting some of your old friends. But you have to do something. As the Chafetz Chaim wrote, in his Sefer Sichot HaChafetz Chaim, in in Siman Kuf, Siman 100, he said that a person needs to give chizuk to people that are close to him, people that know him, if he sees them weak in mitzvot, even if these people are in America, he says, even if they're in a different country like America, where a lot of people are off the derech. Why? He has to think to himself and write it in a letter to them. I'm not going to live forever. And I know after 100 years, when I get to the upper worlds, of course they're going to ask me, how come I didn't tell you the truth? And I'll end up getting a punishment for not telling you the truth. So here I am telling you the truth, so at least you know. So that's another clever way that a person can rebuke somebody without being as attacking. You could send a letter, you could send a text, you could send an email, you could send a disc. There's a lot of creative ways that the sages gave us in order for us to help Klal Yisrael fulfill this mitzvah. But the same token again, if it's coming from anger, don't do it. If it's coming from arrogance, don't do it. You'll cause more damage than good. This happened many times actually, where people that sometimes watch our shiurim, they don't learn the rest of the shiur, they just learn that one clip that they like, and they start telling everybody what to do. Everyone becomes a heretic, everybody becomes a rasha, everybody becomes the worst person on earth. In reality, the person that's rebuking them themselves, usually himself doesn't know anything. But he's rebuking people about the one thing that he does know, the one thing that he does do good. This is not good. This is not fair. You have to rebuke yourself first. Be stringent on yourself, but don't necessarily be stringent on the people. You have to be more lenient. But if you're going to be the one that rebukes and you are stringent with yourself, remember, just because you see the truth the way you see it doesn't mean that everybody sees the same way you do. So if you're a new convert or you're a new Baal Tshuva, don't walk into a community on day one or even on month one and start rebuking everyone that's next to you. They could be the founders of the shul. They could be ones that are 15, 20 years in the shul, 30 years in the shul. It doesn't make it right for them to sin, but it does make it more likely that they won't listen to you. Because you haven't paid your dues yet. You have to make sure the tshuva starts with you. Tshuva starts with you, and then everybody else. Not everybody else and then you. Doesn't work that way. You, then everybody else. Because once it's you, even simply your actions, you going to the lecture will help people do tshuva. You waking up in the morning will help people do tshuva, not just the lecture itself. So B'ezrat Hashem, this gives us the right chizuk that we need to have in order to do some good kiruv work this week, B'ezrat Hashem. The next time I'm going to see you is going to be on Tuesday night. Also, stay tuned. Tomorrow night is going to be B'ezrat Hashem, a special event, online only. I'll be doing an interview about drug addiction with my dear friend and student Leo Goikman on his new channel. So it's going to be on Facebook and YouTube and all these other channels, but we'll try to post it live. So this conversation is going to be about addiction, drug addiction, and otherwise. And quite frankly, I think every single person should listen to it, because if you're not addicted to something yourself, then you probably know somebody that's addicted. And there's a very damaging teachings that they have in Western society about addictions that you need to know about, because in America they call addictions a disease, which means you can't fix it. You could nurture it, you could silence it to a certain extent, quiet it, but you can't fix it. This is very problematic. This is a very problematic belief in it, according to the Torah, and it's also very problematic for people, because if you think that you can get a disease, that's incurable, meaning that even Hashem can't do anything about it, or even your efforts can't do anything about it, that's a very, very big mistake. So we'll talk about that addiction and others, B'ezrat Hashem. Next class live is going to be on Tuesday night. We have a couple of trips coming up. We have a trip going to Canada, to Montreal in a couple of weeks on February 15th and 16th, I think, or 16th, 17th. We're going to Montreal. It's going to be a couple of really big events. First event is going to be together with Rabbi Mizrahi. And then the second event the next night, or a few events the next day, will be by myself. And then most likely the following week, not most likely, the following 10 days later, we're coming to New York. It's going to be a couple of big events that we'll do in New York, B'ezrat Hashem. One of them is in 5 towns, and the other one I believe is going to be in Brooklyn. Now, for all of those people that constantly send me messages and emails and so on with the requests of having me come to your town, you have to understand, I don't generally schedule my own lectures. It all depends on the people that want to schedule it. Meaning, if you can get a couple of 100 people together and pay for sponsorship of me coming there, meaning you have to bring CDs, the cost of getting there, the flights, the room, advertising for the event, meaning I'm not going to go there and see 20 people. I can stay home and see 50. I don't need to go all the way to the Bangladesh to see 20 people. So if you could arrange the money necessary to market an event and bring a few hundred people, I'm more than happy to come. If you can't, then just continue watching online. Don't get upset if I say no, because again, people need to understand it's not easy for me to travel. Quite frankly, I hate it. I do it when I need to, but it has to be for a reason. If you could arrange a bunch of people, you could get the budget and so on, I'm more than happy to come. But if it's not going to be a big event, or it's just going to be something more personal, it's I already have enough people here, Baruch Hashem, that I could talk to, and everybody else can watch online. So B'ezrat Hashem, hopefully more people see this. And also, last thing, we started a new thing on our website for anyone that wants the merit of sponsoring these local lectures that we do, or really any lecture that we do. You want to sponsor it. People always ask me, how could I sponsor a lecture? How much does it cost? So you can go to the website. The lecture does not, even though there's no charge for everybody else, it's not really free. Sonny over here, God bless him, he needs to feed his kids also, so he has to get paid. The other employees that put the channels, put the YouTube, put the Facebook, put the flyers, they don't live on man. They also need to get paid salaries. Everybody needs to get paid salary. Facebook needs a salary. Google needs a salary. Everybody needs a salary. Nobody works for free. It's not, except me. Actually, even me, I think somehow money arrives. But the reality is, Rabotai, nothing is free in life. So people don't want to sponsor the lectures, just so you know, lectures cost no less than $1,500 per lecture, sometimes as much as $5,000, depending on how many of the young kids we have and how big the event is. Because sometimes when we had during the summer, we had 100 kids show up, just 100 kids was almost $2,000. Because we give them a little bit of encouragement money to come to the shiur. But even if it's with no kids, still cost almost a couple of $1,000s between everybody's salaries per lecture. And the videos and all the other costs that are involved. So the point is, someone wants to sponsor a lecture, you can sponsor it. It's on the internet now. More than welcome to sponsor it. You don't want to sponsor it, it seems too expensive to you, or it's you don't feel like doing it, don't do it. Sorry, Hashem will do it. We'll find a different vessel to do it. But the key is to know that if you sponsor a lecture, you now become a partner in that lecture. Every single mitzvah that will ever be done as a result of that lecture for eternity will go to your account. Now, this is not sales, this is simply Torah. I hate talking about this stuff, but people need an explanation, so that's why I'm explaining it. There's a lecture. We did a lecture today. Somebody watched it in the middle of Zimbabwe. Somebody watched it in the middle of Australia. Somebody watched it in Middle America. Somebody watched it in Israel. Somebody watched it all over the world. There's going to be thousands of people that watch this lecture. Now, out of those thousands of people, even if one person, not all of them, just one person, let's say I'm so bad that they barely understand what I'm saying, but only one person understood me out of 2 hours and stuck the lecture. He said, you know what, I'm going to do tshuva for one of the things he said. I'm going to put on tziti because he mentioned it in the beginning. I'm going to not marry Goya because he mentioned it. I'm going to stop being angry. They do tshuva for that one mitzvah. For the rest of that person's life, every mitzvah that they do goes to that person that sponsored the lecture's account. Now, the massive amount of mitzvot that a person can gather just from simply such a small investment, it's if anyone that knows Torah would say you're selling it for too cheap. And the reason why is because the reality is these lectures work much more than most other English-speaking lectures. They do. How do I know? People tell me. It's not just because my ego is really big. I don't need anybody to help me with my ego. It's already big, it has its own room. But people tell me that's what works for them. They listened to somebody else for 20 years, nothing worked. They stayed an alligator, they started an alligator, they stayed an alligator. They started a pig, they stayed a pig. 20 years they're listening to the lectures, nothing changed. They listen to the lectures. 6 months straight, they become a human being. Their wife calls me to thank me. Their kids call me to thank me. They send me little letters saying, I love my HaBa. Why? He's listening to you. You're going to see some surprises, B'ezrat Hashem, tomorrow night also. The lectures work. Yeah, I know sometimes they're harsh. I know sometimes they're a wake-up call, all that stuff. I get it. I do it to myself also. But they work. Why? It's Torah Timit. A person that sponsors a lecture, becomes a partner in a lecture, simply becomes a shutaf, a partner in that lecture, and every single mitzvah that comes from that lecture for eternity. So that's an amazing thing. Anyone that's smart does it. Anyone that's not smart will take the money and buy some donuts and for their local synagogue, thinking that that's a mitzvah. Baruch Adonai leolam. Amen ve'amen.